Pregame.com.
Pregame.tv, another week of action. We're going to be breaking down some football topics. But first, we're going to go to the Big Ten. Brady Kannon, myself, Steve Fezzik, talk a little Big Ten basketball. Not exactly the highest profile game. I picked one out that I actually really like, aside on Brady. We're going to take a look at the Illinois, their mascot. Does he have a name?
I don't know. I always think of the Lou Do.
Who is Lou Do?
Lou Henson.
Oh, Lou Henson,
the former coach.
Oh, right, of course.
And the Lou Do, you know, the hair he had and everything.
Sure.
The Illini. I don't know. Is that kind of like the Stanford Cardinal, but they have a tree?
I think whenever I think about like Native American Indians, it's terrible. I think about wrestling and Chief Jay Strongbow and Chief Wahoo McDaniel. It's always the Chiefs that wrestled. Very strange. You know, the over-the-hill Chiefs. You'd think there'd be some Braves that would go in there and actually, I guess Takanga was one.
Yeah,
so,
I remember him.
Yeah, so they're right out there. And I'd like to be able to name the starting five for Illinois, but frankly, I can't. This is purely a situational play. I talk about the importance of capping like one conference. So I'm going through the Big Ten, taking a look at it, and I noticed Illinois, borderline top 25 team. Wow.
Right.
They get bombed. They lose by 25. And then they go to Northwestern.
Right.
Horrific. Lost to DePaul at home. And somehow,
wasn't that Northwestern's first win this year?
In conference.
In conference, yes.
You know, after the football season, it feels like it's almost their first conference win.
Yeah.
Overall, they did beat Illinois, but they were 0-6 in conference at one point in the Big Ten. People remember how they could have even beaten Ohio State in football. It's been a bad conference here for Northwestern, but they go in without Sobolewski, and they still get it done against Illinois. And I'm trying to get into the head of these teams here. Pure situational handicap.
It's been a pretty good year for the Big Ten in basketball. Obviously, Michigan State at the top spot at one point. Indiana with a nice win this evening. They've got some good clubs in that conference.
Everyone talks about, they got the Big Three in the Big Ten. And what's interesting is I'm thinking they got the Big Four. Iowa really plays well.
Yep.
You know, the fact they took out Ohio State, with that Iowa, Ohio State, Michigan State, all being there, it's just tremendous how much power there's in that conference, even with Indiana having a very big down year. But Indiana, of course, got the win tonight.
Yeah, over Wisconsin. It was another very good team.
And Wisconsin had won 12 straight against these guys. And now the best Wisconsin team we've ever seen loses to a down Indiana team. So what parity in the conference? What I really like here, Purdue is a garbage team in the conference. They're no good. And they started 0-2, and they got their win 70-64 against, a cupcake Nebraska. And they didn't cover, but they got their first win. They got to be happy with that. Whereas Illinois, I can just see the press clippings, very similar to our UNLV situation where Dave Rice is on the hot seat. Illinois, you lose that badly in a game, and then you turn around, you lose to Northwestern.
Right.
I can only imagine what local radio is like in Illinois.
Time to bounce back.
Exactly. So the situation says, I know Illinois is the better team, and I know I'm getting their A-plus game in this one. Very similar to Kansas State was coming off an embarrassing loss tonight, and I knew I'd get their A game for all it was worth, and it was just barely enough, to go ahead and get there in the K-State.
And the number's pretty short, huh?
It's actually I see it in many ways. It's the same type of situation as the Kansas State game, where you get Oklahoma off a nice win, satisfied. K-State in a desperate situation to bounce back, and they got it done. And I think we're going to see a similar situation here with Illinois going ahead and making amends for a horrific 2-game losing streak.
You ready to make it official?
Let's do it. Let's make it official. All right, we are going to go with Illinois. We're going to lay 5.5. That is the current number here against Purdue. I think they're 2-2 in conference. They have very high expectations coming into the year. Borderline top 25 team. They lose this game, their season is over. Now, I know Purdue's 1-2, but you know what? Purdue knew that they were going to the NIT before the season even started. They had no high aspirations, so I think it's a pretty darn strong play. I think anyone else who's looking at the schedule will probably bounce on it as well. Let's get down on it as soon as possible. One of those I would bet sooner rather than later.
Very good. Yeah, no, I love situational plays, and this one makes a lot of sense. I like the correlation you make there with the K-State coming off of that loss to Kansas. And, here you have Illinois probably they couldn't have had a real much worse loss than losing to Northwestern. And so it sets up nicely.
I'm so pissed because I missed a bet. Hate missing bets. And what happened is that Illinois had lost 95-70. And Northwestern had just gotten bombed like 90-66. And I don't know why I didn't spot that to play under the next game when both teams got crushed, gave up 90. The coach screaming at his players,
defense,
defense, slow it down. We need this game. And of course, it's like 8-6, like 12 minutes into the game. And I'm like, too late to fix it with live wagering. Of course, every live wagering bet would have won anyways. So there you go. We're going to go with the Illini. With the Ludo or not. I got my Ludo on. And happy to be betting basketball. I'm going to be watching the Big Ten Network, 6:10 on DirecTV all year long, getting up to speed with the Big Ten. But we're going to come back. We are going to actually, before we discuss football, Brady Kannon, who is a golf expert, I have right here BK's Golf Service pen. And he's going to be breaking down the former Bob Hope Classic, the Desert Classic in Palm Desert. He's going to tell you who's going to win it, who's going to finish second, who's going to finish third. I expect the trifecta. Stay with us. Pregame.tv.